Hey everyone, welcome to Straight from the Strip. I'm your host, Minty Bets, here with our resident guest, Gianni the Greek. Give him a follow at Greek_Gambler. And for the second week in a row, Lawrence Prezman, aka the Prez. Give me one second. Let me turn off my volume here. There we go. Okay, I have the YouTube on. Anyway, actually, I just realized that Straight from the Strip, Prez, you don't really belong here because you don't live in Vegas. So this might be your last week on the show, I'm gonna say. But I do also have to mention that you went 3-0 in your UFC picks last week. Congratulations.
Good, man.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, 3-0 on my released plays. And I'm excited. And just for the record, Minty, it implied, your opening implied that because I don't live in Vegas and I'm not from the Strip, this will be my last show. It might be the last show of Straight from the Strip. All sports are coming back. But I mean, look, I'll tell you this, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of Gianni. I'm happy to do this show, man. Whenever you guys want, whenever you need. Talking UFC for me is an absolute pleasure. Something I follow deeply and have been involved in for 20 years. So I'm game. I'm always game. And Minty, based on our age, I'm going to say that I've been to the Strip more times in my life than you have.
That might be true because locals don't really go to the Strip. So I've only ever been a couple times, unless working there doesn't count. But yeah, this is true. So good for you, Prez. You have actually a play on Wager Talk this weekend. It is a 5% best bet.
Well, it's my first.
Beautiful.
Listen, I've been betting UFC since Tank Abbott was around. I've only released 3 plays in my life, and I won all 3 of them. And I decided there's a play on this card that I'm just infatuated with. So I released it as a 5% play, which is the highest rated play we can do at wagertalk.com. And yeah, it should be up very shortly. It'll be up. I think it's already up. So you can head over to Wager Talk. I'm only going to be releasing 1 play. I'm going to give the rest of my personal bets out on the show for free. But that 1 play is a 5% play, so make sure to get down on it. Where are you with this card, Gianni?
Okay.
I haven't fired yet. I have a lot of plays I'm looking to bet. But I learned something over the last couple of weeks that there's no rush really to get out ahead of the market, except on some of these big favorites. And after last week, I'm coming off a losing week where I got my ass kicked. I went 3-4, but laid some chalk. And I think I carried it on a week too long. And here's what I mean by that. Since the lockdown, the market's definitely changed in the MMA betting market because of the influx of casual bettors. That's expected. So you have to approach it a little differently. And what did we know going into after lockdown? That unlike other sports where casual bettors bet favorites and over, in combat sports, they bet the underdogs. They want to put up a little money to win a lot. And because of that, bookmakers, to protect themselves, shaded these lines a little lower towards the favorites, where the actual value was on the favorites. Now, you could say, how do you know that? What supports that more than anything else is the results. Long term, if you look at the last 5,000 UFC fights, about 64% of the time, 65% of the time, the favorite wins. Okay? Since the lockdown, the favorite was winning close to 75% of the time, almost 3 out of 4 fights going into last week. I was riding that momentum. That's why we were able to get up ahead for so much for the year in MMA over that small period of time. But it bit me last week. So I said, after seeing that, maybe it's changed a little bit. So I always take a step back. For me, my goal is always this. It's when we get down to December 31st that I could look back at my subscribers and say, you know what? We had some ups, some downs, because I'm not here to defy probability, but I've proven to you again I have an edge because we're up this amount. And hopefully they did the right thing and overcame some of those negative runs that I had and profited with me. If I do that, I look at it as I did my job. So far for this year, we're up, but I still got 3 or 4 months now to make that happen. So I'm looking forward to it. But again, that's always my goal. I'm excited for this Saturday's card. I hope I profit for you. But overall, man, my goal is to win for you long term. That's the goal, baby.
Exactly. All right. So this weekend we've got UFC Fight Night. Gianni, this is one of the last fight nights until UFC takes its events back here to Vegas, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
All righty.
Got some big fights coming up over the next couple months, too.
We do. I'm very excited. So I'm a little sad that we're not doing the show. Maybe not anymore. We'll see. All right, guys. So I'm manning the chat here on YouTube.
The show will happen. It'll be part of our wild card group of shows. But the public just demands more Gianni. They already get lots of Minty.
Yeah, I guess so. So guys, I'm manning the chat here on YouTube. You guys already have a ton of questions, so let's get through them. You know, I'll always shout you out or get your questions on here. So ask these guys.
Please ask, because sorry, not to delay this show, but I get a ton of DMs like on Fight Night. Honestly, I don't even look at any of them, because it's like we're getting over 50, 100 DMs throughout the UFC Fight Night. And during the week, I get a bunch of them. Honestly, I wish I had the time to answer every single one, because so many guys are guys that are just getting into this betting or industry and just want someone to help guide them in the right direction to avoid making a lot of the mistakes I did. So I'd love to take that time to do it. Unfortunately, you can't. You don't have that kind of free time. But here's your chance on shows like this. Ask those questions that you DM me. Ask those questions that you send me on Twitter. I have time here. That's why I'm doing this, to answer them. So please take advantage of it.
Yes,
that was my
absolutely.
Public service
I'd like to make a public service announcement. I get no DMs ever.
Okay.
Go ahead, Minty.
Okay, well, maybe after this,
please don't.
Yeah,
I am the worst on Twitter. It's ridiculous how bad I am on Twitter.
Oh my gosh. Well, last time you had fans when we did videos, I remember someone typed it, or like I said, it was your cousin or something that was
you went 3-0 last week on UFC. But wait till this Saturday night. You'll get some DMs.
I won't even know. My phone won't even be around. I mean, come on, man. We got to have some kind of life.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys. Well, before we get to the co-main event and the main event of the night, I'm going to get maybe some of these guys' best bets for the preliminary card. So, Prez, let's start with you. Which fight do you like the most?
You know what? So, I have a lot. And actually, AJ's asked, is Herbert worth a chance? I want to talk about that fight a little later, because it is a fight I'm betting on. But right now, a preliminary fight that I am for sure betting on is Dalby to win by decision and the fight to go the distance. He's fighting Ronson. This fight just does not... this is not a great matchup for Ronson. He's in for a mess of a fight. The guy's 15 pounds lighter than his opponent, which is a major deal. He's literally making his UFC return after 3 straight losses. We saw what Dalby did to Oliveira. It was a unanimous decision. The interesting thing about this fight is I can't see Ronson knocking Dalby out at all. And I don't think Dalby has the power to knock Ronson out. I think he's going to get a ton of significant strikes in. But I see this fight going to the judges. And the scorecard should give Ronson his 4th decision loss in a row, albeit this one will be unanimous and not a split decision like the last 3. I'm all over Dalby by decision, and I am betting both him by decision and the fight will go the distance.
Love it. All right. Gianni, do you have one for us?
Yeah, here's what I'm going to share. I'm going to share real quickly a bet that I already made. That's actually a 4% premium play that I still think's a little bit of value, but it's on Friday night on the Bellator card. So let me share that one real quick. And it's between Jordan Main and Jason Jackson. Now, I gave that bet out with Jason Jackson, I believe, as a minus 140 favorite, I want to say, 140 or 145. Maybe even 150. I know I bet him at 140. I probably gave him out a little bit higher because I know the line moves after we fire. But now it's up a little bit higher. Now he's about minus 165, 170. As long as I made my true line minus 200. I thought that a fair line's about minus 150 where they opened it. That's why I blasted. But a true line's closer to minus 200. The reason it's not that high is obviously simple. Everyone knows Jordan Main's name. He's from the UFC. He's had a ton of fights there. I mean, he fought Alex Moreno, Bilal Muhammad, Thiago Alves, Mike Pyle, Matt Brown. He's been there forever. So he has that recognition coming from the UFC. Those guys are always going to get respect in other organizations. But Jason Jackson also has that kind of experience. This kid's a stud. He was in Dana White's Contender Series. He lost in the second round back in 2017. Since then, he's been on fire. He's lost a split decision to Ed Ruth. Now, if you don't know who Ed Ruth is, one of the best wrestlers on the planet. I mean, when he faced him, I think Ruth didn't have a loss, or only had one loss to a Gracie when he got choked out. I mean, he was just on fire. And this kid should have gotten the decision, but he lost the split decision, or his stock would have went through the roof off that Ed Ruth fight. Because he lost that split decision, we're able to get him at such a good price here. I think he gets the finish, gets the knockout. But anything minus 200 or less, Jason Jackson is the side. So that's my free best bet for this. And if we're going to give another undercard, I got a nice doggy for him, but let Prez give one out too.
Yes, Prez.
Okay, well.
Do you have anything else? I know you do.
Okay, well, Minty, people are asking, is Herbert or Herbert or whatever worth a chance? Somebody else asked best prop bets. We're going to get them all
underdog,
done. So anyway, I'm betting Jai. I'm betting him at plus 150. And here's really my take on this fight. Trinaldo is one old dude. I mean, this guy's got a ton of fights under his belt, 25-7, and he can definitely take advantage of Herbert's weaknesses. And it's a glaring weakness, and that is he steps into the pocket after he finishes throwing a punch. So he'll throw a punch, and instead of just having, if he's a right-hander, instead of having 1 foot forward as he connects, he's actually stepping that 2nd foot forward, placing him right in the pocket. That's his biggest weakness. With that said, this guy's got massive knockout power. 10-1 record, 8 TKOs, including a recent 3rd round finish of Jack Grant. Now, I understand that this wasn't in the UFC, but this guy can punch. He's also fit as hell. He is probably one of the fittest fighters in that division. I expect 15 minutes of full steam ahead from Jai. The only question is he going to step into the pocket and get knocked out or not? And for me, at plus 150, Trinaldo's not some beast. He needs to make one mistake. Jai's got knockout power. I like Jai at plus 150, and I like him for the knockout. Now, these are both underdogs. I am betting Jai at plus 150. If this does go the decision, though, if we get to a scorecard, I think Trinaldo will win the decision. So you might as well take Jai to make the TKO.
There we go. Milan, there is a good underdog for you. Gianni, do you have any underdogs for this card?
Yeah, I got a big underdog for you guys. And here's what you got to know going in. You don't cash many of these. In fact, if you cash 1 out of 5, you break even. You cash 1 out of 4, you're going to turn a profit. But you got to know going in, you're not going to cash a lot of tickets when your ticket says plus 380, plus 400 on it. And this line continues to climb, and I'm not surprised. So there's no rush to bet it just yet. But we're going to look at John Castaneda against Nathaniel Wood, and here's why. Nathaniel Wood is one of those prospects that came into the UFC with a lot of hype, and he's looked really good. He won his first 3 fights, I believe, and he's coming off a loss against Dodson, where John Dodson finished him in the 3rd round. Everyone expects Nathaniel Wood to bounce right back, and that's why this price is so high. But what's interesting about this fight is Nathaniel Wood was scheduled to fight Khabib's teammate. One of Khabib's teammates was set to make his UFC debut. But because Khabib's father died, which is the coach,
yeah.
Obviously, the kid's not going to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Castaneda is a completely different fighter from what Wood was training for. When you're preparing for a Dagestani chain wrestler, you know what you're going to get. And all you're preparing for is how to not get stuck against the fence, how to not get held down with that handcuff, and how to stay off your back. That's what you're practicing for months. That's going to be the uncomfortable position they're going to put you in. But now you're not fighting that kid anymore. Now you're fighting John Castaneda, the sexy Mexi. And here's what I like about this kid. He doesn't do anything very special. He's just so well-rounded. He's good at striking. He's decent at grappling. He's got good wrestling base. And he's an unknown. He doesn't have that name recognition. But this is a very winnable fight for him. As long as he could stay off his back and keep a busy guard if Wood takes him down. My only fear here is losing like Montel Jackson lost last week where, what's his name, just held him down, where Brett Johns held him down. He landed like 11 strikes, but he was such a better wrestler. He was just able to get takedowns. Yeah. And without even doing damage. I could at least see if you get takedowns, that's great. But at least do a little damage, throw an elbow in there, just holding them. I get it, position over submission, but at least a little ground and pound to declare you're doing something down there. Again, not to be keep harping on that fight. Instead, again, I like Castaneda here. Wood's the better wrestler, but I don't think this is a great stylistic matchup because I think Castaneda is just decent everywhere. And as long, again, as he doesn't get out wrestled for 3 rounds, he'll be in there. This will go to decision. I'm pretty sure of that. You may want to look at Castaneda by decision, but when you're getting 4-1 on your money, 3.5-1, you don't really have to figure out how they're going to get it done. Just bet them to get it done. For me, it's worth a sprinkle for sure. I think that Nathaniel Wood should be about a -300 favorite. At the most, he should win this fight maybe 3 out of 4 times, but not 4 out of 5, not 4.5 out of 5. No chance, not against Castaneda. So sexy Mexi plus 350 or 400. I'll sprinkle a little something on him for
Minty,
sure.
I want to add to what Gianni is saying because a lot of people listen to us and they think, okay, well, Gianni just said that the guy is going to lose 3 out of 4 times. Why should I bet him? It's so important that anybody who takes betting seriously does not do it in an isolated environment. Gianni doesn't care whether this is one fight. The guy, as Gianni said, the guy has a 25% chance of winning this fight. But the odds are giving us 31%. That 6% we're going to put in our pocket. And we're going to do it.
It's the most you could ask for.
Every single time. Because none of this is about one specific bet. It's the same in poker. You have a 12% chance to flop a set. If you are getting 20-1 on your money, you make that bet 100 out of 100 times. So please, people, understand.
That's a great explanation, Prez. It's a great way to put it. Thanks for breaking that down, seriously, because that is how you have to look at it. That's how advantage blackjack players, that's what taught me to win at sports betting, blackjack, because you had to stick to the formula. The only way you're going to make money is if you do the right move every single time. There's a right decision, whether it's to hit, double down, split, or stand. That's it. Make the right call, just like chess. Regardless of what your gut says, regardless of what you feel, what the math says. You do that over and over again. After 30, 40 hours of play, you're guaranteed money if you truly have an edge. You're right. That's why you can't look at it as one hand. What am I going to do this hand, this fight? Well said. Well said.
Yeah, thanks, brother. And it's a message that's just, it just everybody forgets it. And I see it at the poker table all the time. That's why you want to play when you go to a tournament. The most important thing to do is to find out where the people live that are at your table and when are they going home. If you catch a guy on the last day of his trip, he ain't taking that 12% on a 20-1 because he knows it's likely going to lose and he doesn't want to be knocked out of the tournament. You can't play poker like that, and you can't bet like that. Sorry, Minty.
It's okay. Okay. Well, that kind of wraps it up. Unless, Prez, you have any other
let me give you
preliminary
a prop. Let me give you a prop bet.
There we go. A good
now,
prop.
there are no... listen, Gianni, maybe you have found the odds. I don't. I'm guessing it's going to be around plus 800. Tom Aspinall TKO in the first round.
Yeah, you're going to get a great return.
Yeah. So it's going to be around plus 800, give or take. I like him to win the fight. I love him as a TKO, and I like him to win in the first round based, again, on what we were talking about, straight value betting.
You know what I love about that bet, real quickly? I don't mean to jump in and take your time. I love that you said in the first round. If you're going to bet a finish in MMA, look to round one. That's the highest probability of a finish. Unlike boxing, where in boxing, because you're wearing those heavy gloves, you systematically break an opponent down. In MMA, you're getting a finish on a knockout if you hit him flush when he's not looking for it. And that only usually happens early on. There's a 30% chance of a finish in round one. By round three, there's less than a 15% chance of a finish. So it gets cut in half. Once you get out of round, after the first round, your probability of a finish starts to diminish greatly. That's a good bet if you're going to bet a finish. I like it.
Very nice. That answers Joe's question of best prop bet and AJ's question of best bet to finish inside the distance. I'm going to throw a bet out there too. I don't think this answers any of the questions, but for my preliminary pick, I like heavyweight bouts, and I like the one between Tanner Boser minus 260 versus Rafael. Is it Pessoa?
Pessoa, yeah, Pessoa.
Pessoa, thank you. Boser was called in to fill in for Justin Tafa on 10 days' notice. Last time we saw Tanner with his knockout win in the first round over Felipe Lins, I totally remember that. I know a lot of people are going to like Boser via knockout, but I might like this one to go the distance because I don't want to overreact to what I saw last time. Both these fighters have been in the UFC only since 2019, and there have been more decision victories and losses recently with both of them than there have been knockouts. So I love heavyweight fights. I hate taking them to go the distance, but this is only 3 rounds. So I see this one over 2.5 rounds. That's my pick. Tanner's for the distance. All right, guys, should we move on to the co-main event, or do you guys have anything else to add?
Yeah, I'm whatever you want.
Okie dokie.
I'll summarize my bets at the end of the show for everybody. I'll just race through them. So go ahead.
Yeah, let's recap at the end. Okay, cool. Recap at the end. Co-main event is a light heavyweight bout between Shogun Rua minus 185 versus Rogerio Nogueira, aka Little Nog, plus 165. Shogun is mainly a wrestler and quite a strong boxer. Little Nog is off some losses, but has had a truly impressive career. I really don't have any opinions here, although I probably might side with the favorite here just because Little Nog is pushing 44 years old, and Rua is younger, the younger one of the two at 38. So, Perez, what do you think of this fight here?
Well, Gianni, I don't know if you got a kick out of seeing this matchup, but the first thing I thought to myself is, who else is on the card? Is Shamrock fighting Tito? Is Couture fighting Liddell? Tank fighting Bob Sapp? Like, what the hell's going on here? Does anyone care? I mean, why is this fight happening?
For the third time.
Minty, they're finishing a trilogy that was finished. That was finished 10 years ago. 10 years ago.
After the first one.
Rua won both fights. And for some reason, Gianni, there must have been an incredible demand for this fight. I didn't even know that Little Nog or Big Nog were still around. As for Rua, he hasn't done a damn thing around. Honestly, Shogun is younger. He's won 4 of his last fights. Little Nog has got the ability to get knocked out by anybody at any time. We saw that in his last fight Guy was annihilated in less than I think it was a minute, give or take, somewhere extremely early. These are two geriatrics having a go for no reason whatsoever in a situation nobody cares about. I'm taking Rua minus 188. I'm sprinkling a little bit on the knockout because, listen, Shogun is not a knockout artist, but Little Nog likes to be knocked out. So, Rua and Rua TKO.
Okay, Gianni, what do you think? These guys have to get gassed pretty early, right? I mean, they're like, not to be mean, but they're older. Do they have great cardio? Like, what's going on, Gianni?
Yeah, here's what's surprising. I mean, Prez nailed it. There's really no reason to do it a third time. We already know the better fighter showed himself 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And what's surprising is he was a bigger favorite last time against Nogueira. In the rematch, he was a bigger favorite. He won again. Now he's a smaller favorite. Both went to a decision, and this one's opened as a minus 300 not to go to the decision. It's like we're the Twilight Zone type fight. It's really difficult to get involved. Prez nailed it. What is there really to get excited about on the live dog with Nogueira? You know, he hasn't been winning of late. He's 2-4 over his last 6. 3 of his last 4 losses, I believe, are finish. Who, though, on the flip side, since 2015, he's 4-1-1. He's only lost 1 time in the last 5 years. Granted, he's only had 5 or 6 fights, but still, he looks like the right side, right? But are you going to lay minus 200 on a 38-year-old fighter? It's difficult to do. So for me, it's obviously a pass situation. It's a dog or pass situation. But again, this isn't a dog I'm falling in love with. So you're probably better off following Prez and his advice to bet, Shogun to win inside the distance. That makes the most sense. But again, this ain't a fight that got me excited at all, to be honest
Gianni,
with you.
You talk about minus 200, and I'm getting 188, which is about 1.5% different. But you talk about minus 200. You look at this fight, man, and if you took both of these guys in their absolute prime, I mean, forget age difference. Literally, they are both 30 in their absolute prime, and they fought against each other 10 times. Shogun wins 7 in their prime.
Yeah.
And we've seen it because 10 years ago and 14 years ago.
And the first fight, he annihilated him. He outstruck him by like 50 significant strikes.
I mean, Little Nog rocked him for a second. But I mean, in their prime, I would bet Shogun at minus 200. In their prime.
Yeah. You could get Shogun inside the distance as a dog, plus 105, plus 110. That might be the best bet. You're probably right.
Well, it is. It's plus 105 TKO. But if you can bet,
I think there's better than a 50% chance.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. What did Gianni just say? Show as a weekly, no matter what, is the only thing being changed. Rule, blah blah blah.
Yes, because Matthew said do not cancel the show.
Okay. Anyway, Gianni, if you will take Shogun at minus 200 in his prime against Little Nog in his prime,
wow.
Clearly it should be minus 400 now. We've got a 44-year-old against a 36-year-old. The guy's beat him twice. He's literally won almost every round they've ever fought with each other. Shogun can fight on the ground, can fight standing up. He doesn't get knocked out a lot. I mean...
No, he's tough as nails. You're right.
Like, he's the ninja here.
Yeah, it's his fight to lose. It's his fight to lose, for sure.
So, yeah, I don't love minus 200 either, 188, whatever it is. But, I mean, like, I think they're lightweights that would beat Little Nog at this point.
I guess so. All right. Quick question from Dave. We talked about Shogun, but he's wondering about Gustafsson versus Werdum. How do you feel about Gustafsson being a heavy favorite, especially with him moving up in weight class? And then Shogun old, we talked about that. So Dave asked that. Gianni, do you have any thoughts on Gustafsson? Minus
I haven't really dug into that
Werdum.
fight, but the first thing that jumped out at me on that is this. that Werdum's stock has never been lower. The way he looked coming off his last fight, he didn't look like he was in good shape. He was slow, and he was finished in a fight that he was ultimately, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a minus 250, 300 favorite to win. You're supposed to win those fights. When the market decides you're a minus 350 favorite, you're not supposed to lose that in that fashion. You know what I mean? That is what stuck out at me the most. That because of that, I think you're probably going to be asked to lay a little bit too much on Gustafsson. And in his first time at heavyweight, I don't know. You know, again, that's the first one thing that jumped out at me. I still have a lot of work to do on that fight, and I want to see how Werdum obviously looks at the weigh-in. That's key. You don't want to bet that fight until you see that. But I just think his stock definitely is at its lowest, and that's when you usually want to back teams or fighters. But if they have to be in a game or a matchup that they actually can win, I don't know if that's the case. If Werdum looks like he did last time, he can't beat Gustafsson. But if he comes in shape, he could win this fight. Verdum's beaten some of the top heavyweights on the planet. Again, he's a lot older now, but and 42. But again, Gustafsson's coming in off 2 straight losses where he was finished, and that was at 205. Now you're going up against a lot of big guys. So just that's the only pause there. You're going to lay 350 on a guy that's not on a hot streak. It's a little difficult to do.
Yeah. So Minty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Minty, I look at this fight, and we did this exact exercise last week on the show, and I won using this kind of thought process. So, so I'm with Gianni. I'm not betting this fight, and I have not looked deeply into this fight at all. But here's what I know. Okay. Going back to what the line makers provide, the info, just the information the line makers give us. They are... Gustafsson is minus 350 to win the fight. That means he's going to win the fight 4 out of 5 times. That's what the line makers are telling us. And I accept the line makers to be right the majority of the time. That's why we are happy to win 11 out of every 20 games, because the line makers are right a lot. So minus 350 for Gustafsson to win. Here's where it gets interesting. It's minus 175 that the fight does not go the distance, which means that the line makers are telling us Alexander is going to win this fight 4 out of 5 times, and it will not go the distance around 58% of the time. Where is the bet then? The bet is on Gustafsson knocking him out. That's what the bookmakers are saying to us. Now, it's only plus 110. But, and I'm not going to be making that bet because I wanted greater odds. But just using the information provided from us without doing any reading or having any knowledge of their records or the descent or ascent that they're on, the line makers are literally saying, take Gustafsson plus 110.
Yeah, I can see that. We got a question from Chris here. Gianni, any thoughts about, oh my gosh, I'm going to butcher his name. Is it Chimaev?
Hottest fighter on the planet, baby.
Dude, for
good job, Chris. All right.
Khamzat Chimaev, baby.
He was my one win on the Wednesday card. Just for the record, he was my win. I took him as a TKO minus 180. Dude's fighting on 10 days rest.
Woo! Trying to make a record, put a name, put a stamp. And he's fighting in his natural weight this time at welterweight also. Here's what I could tell you. He shouldn't be a 1,200 favorite over Rhys McKee. He shouldn't be a 1,200 favorite. I mean, you're buying Bitcoin November 2018. That's what you're doing at 20 grand. You know, is it going to get to 21? It didn't. You know, he might. You know, I can't tell you whether that happens. But yeah, there's no value there. Am I betting the underdog? I haven't. What's the odds maker telling you on this one? According to Prez, this will not go to distance open 245. Now it's minus 500, 550. So yeah, they're telling you this is going to end very quickly in violent fashion.
That's what I was going to say. Most likely, Gianni, by the only bet that you can make.
Chimaev.
The only bet.
But what's that going to be? Minus 400 or 500? You know what I mean? Inside the distance. What's Chimaev inside the distance? Minus 400, where there's no room for error. You know. That's the problem.
I mean, the only bet here, period, Minty, is Chimaev, however you pronounce his last name, to win in the first round. And even then, I'm not willing to take it.
Okay.
We don't even know. I mean, one of the things Gianni didn't even mention, we don't even know how does a fighter fight on 13 days notice, 12 days. We don't, actually 10 days notice. Mm-hmm. We can't even pull out the book. We can't call Ralph. Ralph, how many times? It's happened 700 times and 62% of the time. Gianni, correct me if I'm wrong. Has it ever happened before?
He's trying to. No, if he does this, it'll be a record. The quickest turnaround ever for a fight. So there is no sample size. And real quickly, dude, McKee's got some. He's got some finishing power. 9 of his 10 wins are by finish. Obviously not the level of opponent he's going to be facing Saturday. But to be a 1,200 favorite right now, that says his opponent isn't even going to show up. Like, it has to be so guaranteed. Now, again, he looked so phenomenal. And coming from the camp he's coming from, he's the real deal. I get it. But should he be a 1,200 favorite? No way, bro. No way.
You know,
I'm sorry.
You know, it's interesting because his opponent, he'd rather. I mean, what a lucky break for McKee. If McKee was going to fight him on 10 days rest. You know, I'd be more inclined to take minus 1,200 if it was on 3 months rest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
If McKee ever, you know, what is minus 1,200? He'll win basically 100 out of 100 times.
I mean, we know guys on 7 days or less rest have done awful. I've charted the last 41 or 42 times that's happened, and I think only 8 guys have been able to pull it off that had 7 or less days
Dude,
notice.
Look at all the
now, I got it. This guy has a little more than 7 days, but it's not a great situation to be in.
Look, you see, you watch Clayton Kershaw go out and pitch a no-hitter and then, you know, pitches on 4 days rest instead of 5 and can't get out of the first inning. Who the hell knows what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, there's your answer, Chris. You got them hyped up. All right. Now the main event, a middleweight bout between Darren Till, minus 105.
I'm so excited for this fight.
This one? Okay, good. Robert Whittaker, minus 115. Both these fighters are top 5 in their division, so whoever wins this one has a great shot at the title. Whittaker held the title once before losing to Israel Adesanya in UFC 245. Till can take it to the mat, but is great upright as well. Also now basically at a pick'em, but Darren Till opened up as the dog. Now he's minus 105. I have to say I like Darren Till because he's got a little Muay Thai edge to him. Although Whittaker has more experience, I would say. He's taken a ton of damage to his body throughout the years. So that's also why I like Darren Till to pull the upset here. But I don't know. I don't think I want to bet on this if he's not a dog. Prez, let's go to you. What do you think?
It's actually a really great segue, Minty, because I don't want to bet on Till unless he was a dog is exactly how I feel. You know, I'd like to get Till at plus 140. Anything under that, I'm not interested. So, you know, right now we have them basically pick a money, give or take. I can't see a thing as far as who's going to win this fight. This is going to be a beautiful fight to watch, though. A lot of action, a lot of significant strikes. You mentioned Till is a Muay Thai fighter. Listen, Whittaker has been awesome off of his back throughout his career. We all know this guy as a striker. This guy can fight from his back. I think this fight is going to be action-packed, and the bottom line for me, one of my favorite bets on the card, this fight's going the distance at plus 110. I don't think either guy is going to be knocked out.
I like that too. All right, Gianni, do you agree with us?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. One of the groups that I work with bet Darren Till early. They bet him as soon as this line came out at plus 145. Right.
Nice.
And I think plus 135. Just a disclaimer.
Wow.
And I agree with that position at that price.
Yeah.
Where it sits now, I like Whittaker. I really do. At minus 120, I think that's the only way I could look. Listen, the UFC and more importantly, the middleweight division will be a lot more interesting if Darren Till wins this fight. So it would be great to see him win this. But I don't think you're getting any line value. And let me lay out my case. Whittaker did the right thing coming off his last loss because he got knocked out. He didn't say, I'm coming right. This fight was supposed to take place 6 months ago. And Whittaker said, hold on. No. I need more time. I need to heal. I need my head to heal. And I need to want to get back in there. And he took the amount of time off he needed, got that itch again, got back in the gym, felt healthy, felt good, and then said, okay, let's do it. I love that he did that. More importantly, he's got 5-round experience. So you know he's going to have that cardio advantage. He's been there. He's done it. He's done it with Romero, number one. Number two, what did we see? What causes Till problems? Fighters that blitz him. Masvidal blitzed him, knocked him out. Woodley blitzed him, knocked him out. What does Whittaker do pretty much better than anyone else? If you don't have a long reach on him, blitz you. He's great at that. That's his style. Then Till, he's had one fight at middleweight. He got that by split decision against Kelvin Gastelum, who we just saw get finished in less than a minute about 4 or 5 days ago. So that win isn't as huge as it may have been if he beat Kelvin coming off the Adesanya loss, where Kelvin's stock went up, even though he lost Adesanya. So for me, that's the problem. Listen, he's fast at middleweight, and he puts good pressure. He walks guys down. It's a different kind of pressure. He's going to try to push Whittaker back, and he's going to want to counter. The only negative is Till throws one punch or two punches at a time. If you look at his volume, it's very low. In fact, he only lands 2.1 significant strikes per minute. He has a negative strike differential. And yet, in his 6 or 7 UFC fights, 9 UFC fights, he's only has 2 knockouts. So he's not like this big power knockout puncher that he's been made out to be. At least he hasn't done it at the UFC level. And now he's fighting a much bigger guy. At least Whittaker fought at middleweight for a while. Now, he was a big welterweight. He couldn't even make welterweight. So when they get in there on Saturday night, they're going to look comparable. It's not like Whittaker's going to look bigger than him. But what I'm saying is he's been carrying that weight for a lot longer and fighting bigger guys for a lot longer. He's fought the Romeros for 10 rounds. He fought Adesanya. So for me, I just think that's where the obvious line value is. The negative is Darren Till's the hungrier fighter. It seems the motivated, going for a title if he wins this fight. Where with Whittaker, where's his head? He lost his title. Is that what he's going for? But as far as skill set goes, less than a year ago, Whittaker was a minus 185, almost a 200 favorite against Israel Adesanya. The betting market concluded that Whittaker should be about close to a 200 favorite against Adesanya. Yeah, he lost that fight. I get it. But we're supposed to not overreact off a single result, right? So just based on that line, Whittaker looks like the value side. So for me, I think stylistically it looks good. He's got that great takedown defense. He could use his wrestling too, which could be an advantage. I don't see the value unless you're getting good plus money.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Gianni. I mean, if you're going to bet Till, you got to bet the knockout. You got to bet him to win by decision at plus 350. And I actually think that's a fairly good bet because
that I could see that 350. That's a nice price. Now you're talking getting a plus money of 350 compared to even money.
But not only that, with Whittaker already losing in his match for the title belt and Till not having one, a split decision's going to Till. So. I think you have that in your back pocket as well. So plus 350 to me for Till on the decision. But I agree, man. I mean, Whittaker's the better fighter. Like from a career perspective and from what he's done and who
He
he's
is.
fought, he's just a better fighter. That's why I go right back.
More well-rounded, more complete
Right.
game, accomplished more, beat higher opposition already, for sure.
That's why I say the fight goes the distance. 25 minutes, baby. Plus 110, I'll put it in my pocket.
I love it. All right, before we recap, some of these picks, AJ asked, any female fights you guys like? I know Carla Esparza is fighting on the main card against Marina Rodriguez. And then on the preliminary card, we have, who do we have?
Betch Correa, yeah, she's fighting again.
Against, oh my gosh, Pani?
Yeah, Khamzat.
Okay, do you guys have any opinions on the women fights?
I do.
Women bouts, I should say.
Go on.
You do? Okay.
But I do want to just give you an update. Johnny just texted saying, this show by name, straight from the strip, will be going away, but when there are big UFC events, we will be doing these shows. We've got your back on the UFC, everybody. Hopefully Gianni will be able to continue to do this with us. I'm always available to talk UFC, so don't worry. We will have a UFC fill on a regular basis. Okay,
Cool.
Marina, she's a prospect, but man, she is rising fast. Undefeated, high volume striker, keeps moving forward, and that's the big thing right here. This woman doesn't stop. She is aggressive as hell. I feel for her husband or boyfriend. Joke, boom, boom, joke. Okay, no, nobody appreciated my joke. Bottom line to me, last two fights, Marina fought grapplers, Tessia, Calvillo. Tessia didn't take her down, not one single time. Calvillo took her down once, and she got up after like 20 seconds, like brushed her off, shoot her away, and hopped up. Carlo brings nothing to this fight. She's a grappler, and she's going to struggle to get takedowns. Minus 170. I'm taking the young up-and-coming prospect in this fight, and I would take it all the way up to close to 200.
She's got a lot of advantage. She's going to have a reach advantage, height advantage, even her legs. She's got like almost 4-inch leg advantage for kicks to keep the wrestler away. I think it's one of those awesome, because it's easy to look at the matchup. It's wrestler, striker, grappler, striker matchup. It's if Rodriguez stays off her back, she picks Esparza apart. We've seen that happen to Esparza a lot. If Esparza gets the takedowns and gets that position over submission and holds her there, she'll grind out a decision, and you'll be yelling at the TV because she didn't really bust her up. But if Rodriguez stays off her back, she'll pick her apart. She's talented, man. She's a good striker, throws a lot of volume.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Faith First asked, difference and benefits between online books versus Vegas sports books. There are quite a bit of differences. I noticed that online, I guess, offshore books offer a ton more props, as Vegas books can only we can only bet on like box scores. Is that right, Gianni? Or that's
there's more. They have more leeway for sure. Everything that the books here put up, it has to be approved by Nevada Gaming. So there's certain props they're not even allowed to put up. That's probably the bigger benefits. The biggest is probably more variety offshore. If you know anything of what's been happening in Vegas, it's been consolidation where one company's been buying everything out. We saw that first when MGM did it and they bought all the properties on the strip, and we saw nothing but MGM books. And then Cancer came in and kind of did the same thing with sports books. And now it's William Hill, who's in here buying up everybody. So you don't have that many options. Even though there may be 100 properties, there may be 4 sets of lines you have options to.
Exactly. So less props for Vegas sportsbooks, indeed.
Well, to me, Minty, the biggest difference of all between them is transportation. You need transportation for one, and you don't need transportation for the other. I consider that a massive difference. Minty, I've got a hard stop in 2 minutes. I've just been notified I'm hosting the Korean baseball show. It starts in 10 minutes.
Okay. I guess we got to go real quickly. Prez, betting sites for Canadian Gambler, Jesse asked, mainly UFC and NFL. Can you give those out and then recap your picks?
Yeah, so Canadian gamblers can use any site, period, for betting. I always recommend Bovado because it's a very, very square site. So if you're going to take dogs, you're actually going to get slightly better numbers than at other websites. So although that's not an out that I regularly bet at, it's an out that you should have. Look, I love Bet365. I think it's the best sports book in the world. And Gianni, we should talk about this another day because it's such an interesting conversation. Bet365 allows for a cash out. It's changed betting.
I like that.
It's changed betting in my life. It is.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. But not only a cash out, but also, the live in-game betting is incredible, but that cash out, dude. I mean, you take a 2-team parlay and you win the first leg, you cash out.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, I'll have to.
And you're getting better odds than if you would have won the first leg as a single bet. Anyway, let me recap my bets real quick, Minty. I like Dalby by decision and the fight to go the distance. These are all bets I am making. I like Marina Rodriguez at -170. I like Herbert at +150. I like Tom Aspinall, TKO, and TKO in the first round. I like Tillin Whittaker to go the distance, and I like Shogun at -188 and at +105 for the TKO.
Okay, beautiful. And Gianni, you haven't really placed any yet, right?
Yeah, no premiums on Saturday's card yet.
No problem. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us today. Guys, check out me and Teddy's Capping Baseball During COVID video tomorrow, same time at 3 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much, Gianni. Thank you so much, Prez, for filling in for Kelly. And thank you all for joining us. Have a good day.
Love it. Take care.